This interesting story begins with Dr. James Aranda, who appears in an interview discussing a terrifying incident that occurred a year ago on the night of a supermoon. That night, billions of people worldwide were exposed to the moonlight and suffered a violent mutation, transforming into terrifying creatures. The foundation of humanity was shaken, but the real fear is that this event is about to happen again. Another supermoon is imminent. The interviewer asks him how this happened, but the doctor, instead of answering, simply says that no one should go outside in the moonlight on that day and everyone should have a survival plan. He also adds that continuous efforts are being made to find a solution and that humanity will overcome this crisis. Next, we meet Wesley Marshall, a former soldier and molecular biologist. He's with his sister-in-law Lucy and his niece Emma. Lucy had lost her husband in the previous supermoon and is currently paying tribute to his memory. After his brother's sudden loss, Wesley is determined not to give up under any circumstances. He has resolved to protect his sister-in-law and niece at all costs. For this, he is fortifying the house, barricading the doors, setting various traps outside, electrifying the fence, and installing a monitoring system. On the other side, all the neighbors are scared and preparing to face that dreadful night. Meanwhile, Lucy's neighbor Reagan knocks on the door and leaves some candy for Emma. As Reagan leaves, Lucy gives her some essential supplies and tells her to take care of herself. In the meantime, Wesley goes to his careless neighbor, Cody, and warns him to stop target practice on the street because it could endanger children, and he just shot his fuel drum. But Cody carelessly says he's just preparing for that hellish night when everyone will have to fend for themselves. Returning home, Wesley tells Lucy that the house is completely sealed and reminds her of the survival rules. Never open the door, maintain silence, and avoid drawing attention. He tells Lucy that if things go wrong, she shouldn't hesitate to shoot anyone to save herself or Emma, no matter who they are. After this, Wesley bids farewell to his niece, explaining that he can't stay with them, but he assures her that nothing inside the house will be able to harm them. He hesitates about leaving her alone in the room, but Lucy reminds him that the scientists need him. With this thought, he decides to leave, locking the girls inside. Chaos has erupted on the streets. Everyone is rushing to reach a safe place. Elsewhere, scientists and military officials gather for a press conference. Dr. James introduces the team that is working tirelessly to find a cure for this monstrous affliction, and Wesley is a vital part of that team. The doctor announces that his team has developed a serum called Monserin, which has the potential to block the supermoon's effect on human DNA. He also states that tonight will be crucial for finding a permanent cure for this disease. Finally, he wishes everyone luck. Inside the same facility, scientists and military officials bring forward volunteers as test subjects. They are given the serum and are to be tested in the moonlight tonight to see if it actually works. Among them is Miles, the husband of scientist Amy. He is bound with heavy chains and locked in a large cage. As the sun sets, the entire population starts a countdown in fear. Wesley and the rest of his team members put on special suits to protect themselves from the supermoon's light and the resulting mutation, and they approach the test subjects. Besides Miles, there is one woman and 2 other men. As the countdown ends, the scientists get fully prepared. Suddenly, the woman panics, saying she's changed her mind and wants to leave, but it's too late. The roof of the testing shed suddenly opens and the full moon is visible in the sky. The moment is incredibly tense. Surprisingly, none of the volunteers transform. It seems the serum has succeeded. Relief and excitement return to the faces of the scientists, and they prepare for the next phase. Meanwhile, on Lucy's street, a dark shadow rushes past, alerting both Cody and Lucy. The house lights flicker, and the atmosphere becomes even more ominous. Lucy checks the monitor, but everything appears normal. At her house, Reagan calls for her mother, but gets no answer. Suddenly, her breathing quickens, and in panic, she turns around where a giant shadow is ready to attack. Back in the testing wing, Dr. James approaches the volunteers, and Wesley shows him how the serum blocked the mutation. Wesley suggests that this mutation might be some kind of dormant defensive reaction activated by the supermoon. James asks why this is all starting now, but Wesley doesn't have the answer. Just then, something strange starts happening to Miles's body, and his transformation begins. Dr. James immediately orders the serum to be sprayed on him, But Miles, who already has fur growing on one arm, grabs the machine and throws it away. In an instant, the situation becomes chaotic, and the other 3 volunteers also begin to change. The entire facility's system malfunctions, and Amy desperately screams to close the roof immediately, but a power failure makes this impossible. Chaos reigns as the volunteers transform into monstrous creatures.
Wesley realizes that Miles is fully exposed, and his transformation is irreversible. He tries to administer a tranquilizer, but it's ineffective. Miles, fully mutated, attacks a scientist and then escapes. Amidst the chaos, Wesley tries to pick up his injured colleague and take him to safety, but another scientist, in a panic, starts shooting indiscriminately. As a result, he accidentally frees another monster locked in a cage. The werewolves freed from their cages eliminate the scientists inside, even killing the scientist who was shooting. Some scientists are being evacuated by soldiers. Amy, while fleeing, runs into Wesley and his injured colleague. Just then, a terrifying roar is heard from the corridor, and they change direction, rushing into another room. They manage to close the door just as the monster reaches it. Lucy shudders seeing the monstrous movement on the cameras. Cody, who is ready, takes aim at a creature spotted on a tree and starts shooting. Meanwhile, Wesley's injured colleague dies. Amy suggests they stay put until help arrives, but Wesley clearly states that help is not coming, and if they stay, they'll die. Amy reminds him that going outside means being exposed to the moonlight, and they too will become monsters. Wesley replies that they can prevent it by using the serum. Cody is still watching outside when suddenly a heavy freezer crashes through the window and falls on him, throwing him far away. Worse still, he lands directly in the moonlight and his transformation begins. Wesley and Amy cautiously navigate the facility, avoiding the monsters. They reach a room where they gather as many weapons and supplies as possible. Wesley sets a timer, making sure the serum's effect, which lasts about an hour, doesn't wear off, and states clearly that if one of them transforms, the other must carry on alone. Upon exiting, they encounter the mutated Miles. Wesley is about to shoot when Amy stops him, aiming at a gas container and causing an explosion, which temporarily stuns Miles. They somehow manage to escape and get into a car, driving away. Wesley's sole goal now is to reach Lucy's house. On the way, he calls to check on them. Lucy informs him that she saw on the cameras that a werewolf has entered Cody's house. Just then, someone outside calls for help. It's Reagan, screaming and covered with a tarp, which is why she hasn't transformed. Lucy, terrified, wants to save her, but knows it's an extreme risk. On the phone, Wesley frantically shouts not to open the door and to remember the rules. But Lucy can't stop herself from seeing the neighbor's child in such a vulnerable state. She uses the camera's sound system to tell Reagan to be calm, but it's too late. A monstrous creature suddenly pounces on her and drags her away. Meanwhile, Wesley and Amy's car is confronted by a bus, and a collision is unavoidable. After the connection cuts, Lucy witnesses how her friend is brutally devoured by the werewolf outside. The monster standing outside lets out a terrifying roar, chilling Lucy and Emma to the bone. Wesley and Amy are badly trapped in the car crash, but they manage to get out somehow before the fire spreads. Meanwhile, Cody, now a werewolf, picks up Reagan's corpse and throws it onto Lucy's electric fence to break her security perimeter. Lucy sends Emma to a safe spot, and when she sees Cody lurking near the fence, she fires pepper spray at his face. The monster screams in pain. Wesley and Amy are now advancing on foot, trying not to attract the attention of the monsters. But on the way, they find a pack of wolves wreaking havoc near the cars. With no other option, they hunch down behind the cars and slowly move past. Just then, one creature catches their scent. Wesley immediately pulls Amy under a car, hoping that their presence will be masked by the multitude of smells. The creature breaks the car windows and searches, then comes closer and sniffs the ground. For a moment, it seems to have recognized them, but it walks away. On the other side, Cody pours water on himself to soothe the burning in his eyes, and as soon as he recovers, he lets out a ferocious howl. Lucy is even more terrified. Wesley and Amy believe the danger has passed and emerge from under the car, but then their watch starts beeping. 1 hour is up, and the serum's effect is about to end. Hearing the sound, all the nearby werewolves become active again. The two run for their lives, but the monsters chase them. As they run, they see the gate of a supermarket closing and try to get inside. A boy standing inside the gate spots them and quickly pulls them in. Upon entering, masked people suddenly attack them. Amy is held captive with a knife. Wesley and Amy try to explain that they are scientists working on finding a cure, but one of them says there is no cure and asks why they shouldn't hand them over to the monsters.
Wesley clearly states that he just wants to reach his family and needs to use the tunnels beneath the supermarket to do so. After some consideration, the masked man agrees to take them to the tunnel door, but warns them that they will have to make their own way forward. At that moment, Lucy sees on the cameras that the street outside is now completely filled with monsters, and these creatures are no longer just wandering, but appear to be organizing for something big. Wesley and Amy slowly advance through the tunnel. When they encounter a heavy closed gate, Wesley prepares to shoot it open, but before he can, a gigantic creature pounces on them from behind. Now they have no choice but to fight. Before Wesley can shoot, the monster attacks with full force, breaking the gate and throwing them to the ground. Amy is knocked unconscious from the impact. Wesley tries to get up, but the creature throws him away again. The next moment, as the monster lunges at him, Wesley somehow grabs a nearby iron rod and stabs it with all his might. The monster collapses there.
A little later, Amy regains consciousness and supports Wesley as they move forward. They reach a path that leads directly to the road, but stop because the supermoon's light is streaming down. They cover themselves with a tarp and slowly move forward. They enter a nearby shop where an alarm accidentally goes off, which they immediately turn off, knowing the sound is a direct invitation for the monsters. They each have one more dose of serum, but it's too warm. They need to refrigerate it to cool it down. This is why they entered the shop. At Lucy's house, the electric fence is still working, providing some security. The monsters lurk nearby, but cannot cross. Then they start destroying the cameras one by one, and now only 2 remain. Lucy is practically blind. While waiting for the serum to cool, Wesley confesses to Amy that he was always busy with missions around the world and never had time to start a family. But after his brother's death, he feels that the responsibility of family is his. Still, he fears he isn't protecting them properly. Amy reassures him that he's doing his best, and that's what matters. Just then, the serum reaches the correct temperature. Amy goes out to find something to keep it cool, and Wesley hears a sound nearby. He goes to check and sees a young woman sitting with her back turned, seemingly eating something. Wesley calls out, asking how she got inside. The girl turns, and it's clear she's half transformed and eating a cat's carcass. Wesley doesn't want to shoot her and warns her not to come closer, but she doesn't listen and attacks. Amy arrives just in time and shocks her with a taser, and the young woman falls unconscious. Meanwhile, the situation at Lucy's house worsens. Now under the command of Werewolf Cody, the pack begins to attack the electric fence in groups. The house lights flicker due to repeated collisions. Lucy keeps her shotgun ready. From what's left of the cameras, she sees a monster toss an electricity pole onto the fence. The entire house experiences a blackout. Now nothing can stop them from reaching Lucy's property. Only the barricaded doors and windows remain as the last resort. Some monsters get caught in the traps, but the rest start banging on the doors and windows, trying to break in. Lucy and Emma turn on the emergency lights and take a stand in the house's hall, awaiting the coming attack. Lucy suddenly hears movement on the roof. As she looks up, she realizes that a creature up there is caught in a trap set by Wesley. This gives them a little more time. Having taken another dose of the serum, Wesley and Amy cautiously navigate the streets towards Lucy's house. On the way, they see some people, heavily armed, well-prepared, and protected from the supermoon's intense light. These people are clashing with a pack of monsters. Wesley sees this as an opportunity to reach his sister-in-law and niece quickly amidst the fight. The armed people temporarily push the pack back as Wesley and Amy step forward, asking them not to shoot and emphasizing that they are safe from the supermoon's light because of the serum. No one trusts them. Suddenly, a werewolf attacks and a new round of gunfire begins. Now, Wesley and Amy also have to find shelter from both the bullets and the monsters.
The situation escalates, and slowly the entire area is surrounded by more monsters. The armed people are killed, and Amy realizes they are completely trapped. At this point, she proposes a dangerous idea: to use herself as bait. She believes this is the right time to test her theory. When Wesley objects, she explains that he must reach Lucy, and this is the only way to save her. With a heavy heart, Wesley tells her to come back alive. Amy slowly moves forward, drawing the monster's attention. A gigantic werewolf steps towards her. First it sniffs her, but doesn't immediately attack. Suddenly, it takes a small bite. Amy bravely roars at it, as if proving her strength. The monster responds by roaring back into her face. Just then, Wesley fires an anti-aircraft machine gun from the top of a car. The barrage of bullets makes the monsters flee and seek cover. As the path clears, Wesley calls for Amy to run and get in the car. But before she can reach the car, a giant claw grabs her and drags her upwards. Wesley tries to look. Amy and the monster are both out of his sight. Helpless, Wesley has no other choice. He has to reach Lucy, so he speeds the car forward. Meanwhile, Lucy is firing at the roof. Some monsters are killed, but they keep breaking in. She's almost out of bullets, with only a knife and pepper spray left. The barricades are weakening. Finally, the monsters begin to break into the house one by one. Lucy tries to hide with her daughter Emma. Just then, a car horn blares outside. Wesley has returned and is distracting the monsters. All the monsters gather on the street, and Wesley drives the car straight into them to run them over. But at the last moment, Cody, now fully transformed into a monster, jumps onto the car's hood, and Wesley's car crashes into a house. Lucy and Emma think they are safe, but then another monster breaks through a wall and pounces on them. They both flee to another room. Lucy quickly hides Emma inside a closet. Standing behind the door, Lucy holds her breath and waits. As the monster enters, its gaze goes straight to Emma. The girl quickly sprays it with pepper spray, but the monster screams in furious pain. Lucy tries to attack from behind, but the monster violently throws her down. Seeing her mother injured, Emma's eyes fill with both fear and tears. But from that fear, courage is born. With trembling hands, she picks up the knife and stabs the monster with all her might. But her attack is ineffective on the hairy creature. The monster turns on her menacingly, as if ready to tear her apart. At that very moment, Lucy gathers the last of her strength, tightly grips a heavy axe nearby, and screams, striking the demon with all her power.
Just then, Wesley's worried and echoing voice is heard from outside. He bursts through the door, and relief washes over his eyes, seeing his family alive. He quickly checks on both of them and, assured, prepares them for the next attack, because the real danger is still outside. Cody, trapped between the car and the wall, is slowly using his full monstrous strength to try and get out. Wesley knows they are out of bullets and have no easy escape. Clinging to the last hope within him, he makes a dangerous decision. He kneels down to Emma, hugs her tightly, and says, "Always be strong, never be afraid, you are my greatest strength." Then he hands Lucy his watch, which shows only 15 minutes remaining until dawn. He bids them a final farewell and walks out with determined steps. As Wesley steps outside, the serum's effect completely wears off. His bones break and flesh tears as he transforms. Fur grows on his back and his face takes on the form of a beast. He too is now a terrifying werewolf. In front of him, Cody, already free, is waiting for him. The two demons pounce on each other. The ground shakes, roars echo, and the house walls tremble. The fight is so brutal that the ground is turning red with every blow. In a little while, Wesley uses all his strength to overwhelm Cody, throwing him to the ground and defeating him. But despite the victory, a new fear emerges. Wesley himself is no longer human, but like those monsters. Fear courses through Lucy's veins. She immediately hides with Emma in a safe spot and frantically searches every corner of the house for one last hope. Then, her eyes fall on a single shotgun shell lying on the floor. She quickly loads the weapon and stands by the door. The sound of heavy footsteps fills the house. Werewolf Wesley reaches the door. Lucy's breathing quickens. She picks up an old family picture hanging on the door and tearfully says, "Wesley, if you are still in there somewhere, please don't hurt us." The monster breaks down the door and enters. Its eyes are glowing like red fire. But instead of attacking, it hesitates for a few moments, as if the picture and Lucy's voice are reaching its soul. Then it suddenly lets out a fierce roar, making Lucy fall backward. She immediately raises the shotgun and is about to pull the trigger when her watch beeps. It is morning. Lucy, as a last resort, fires a shot at the window. The glass shatters and bright golden sunlight fills the room. The sun's rays fall directly on Wesley's face. His fur on his body starts to burn. His bones begin to mend, and in a few moments his monstrous form melts away and disappears. Wesley returns to his original human form, exhausted but alive. Tears are in his eyes. Seeing Lucy and Emma safe, he smiles. The family is reunited. The terrifying journey of a long night ends with the sunlight. And this is where this thrilling story concludes. Stay tuned to the channel for more amazing stories like this.